It was almost midnight in a small rural town on the outskirts of Montana, where the roads were long, quiet, and swallowed by darkness. The only place still awake at this hour was the Reaper Wolves Motorcycle Club, their clubhouse glowing with neon signs, revving engines, and the deep bass of classic rock echoing in the cold air. Inside, the bikers laughed, played pool, and drank like usual, until a desperate, frantic knock shattered the noise. Thud, thud, thud. The kind of knock that didn't come from drunks or troublemakers. The kind that came from someone terrified. Blade, the club's acting president, exchanged glances with his men. No kid should be out here, not at midnight, not knocking on the door of one of the most feared biker clubs in the entire state. When he opened the heavy door, he didn't expect to see a trembling teenage boy, no more than 16, soaked from the cold night air. His hoodie was ripped, his breathing uneven, and his eyes swollen as if he'd been crying for hours. But what caught Blade's attention was the small figure standing behind him, a girl, maybe 10, clutching her backpack and holding onto her brother's shirt like her life depended on it. The boy swallowed hard. "Pete, please, can you hide my sister for one night?" The bikers fell silent. Nobody ever came here begging for safety. They came for business, for warnings, for deals, never protection. Blade stepped closer, kneeling to eye level with the boy. "Kid, you know who we are." The boy nodded shakily. "That's why I came. Everyone says you don't fear anyone, and you protect your own." "Your own," another biker muttered. The boy hesitated, then pulled up his sleeve, showing a massive bruise shaped like a man's hand. "Our stepfather, he's looking for us. I ran with my sister. If he finds her," his voice cracked, "he'll send her back to the same people who hurt her before. Please, just one night. One night until the sheriff comes in the morning, please." The girl peeked out, whispering, "Don't let him take me back." The bikers, hardened men covered in leather and scars, shifted uncomfortably. They'd faced rival clubs, shootouts, and prison time, but nothing hit them harder than seeing a child beg for protection. Inside the club, murmurs rose. "Kid looks serious. That bruise ain't from a fall. That little girl's terrified." Blade stood up straight, jaw tightening. He was known for his iron decisions, and every man in the room watched him. "You came to the right place," Blade finally said. "As long as you're under this roof, no one, and I mean no one, touches you." The boy exhaled shakily, as if he'd been holding his breath for an hour. But Blade wasn't done. "Start talking," he said. "Who exactly is coming after you, and how soon will he get here?" The boy's answer sent a chill through every biker in the clubhouse. Because the man hunting them wasn't just any stepfather. He was someone the club had crossed before. And he was coming tonight. The clubhouse lights dimmed as Blade motioned the kids inside. The Reaper Wolves instantly shifted into defensive mode, doors locked, radios silenced, engines ready to roar at a moment's notice. This wasn't the first time trouble had come looking for them, but this time was different. This time, two terrified kids were counting on them. Blade pulled the boy aside. "Tell me everything, fast." The teen's voice trembled. "Our stepdad, Rick Dalton, he's not just abusive, he runs deals, illegal deals. He used my sister to move stuff for him. When she refused, he hurt her. I tried to fight him. He beat me. Tonight he said she's being taken back to his partners. I grabbed her and ran." The room filled with low growls of anger. Even the toughest bikers had limits, and hurting kids crossed every one of them. "Rick Dalton," Blade repeated slowly. "He's the scum who tried laundering money through our territory last year." "Yup," said Tank, the club's enforcer. "He swore we'd regret shutting him down." "Well," Blade muttered, "looks like tonight he's coming to collect." Outside, motorcycles rumbled faintly in the distance. Headlights swept across the far end of the property. It wasn't the wolves. It wasn't law enforcement. He was here. Blade barked orders like a commander, preparing for war. "Tank, lockdown, the kids go to the safe room. Patch the door from inside. Nobody opens it unless I say so. Ghost, kill the outside lights." Maverick, get eyes on the gate. The wolves secured the clubhouse like a fortress. The little girl shook as Tank carried her to the safe room. It's okay, sweetheart, he whispered softly, something no one had ever heard Tank do. Ain't nobody touching you tonight. Just then, bangs, bangs, bang. A fist slammed on the metal gate. Open up, a deep voice roared. Those kids are mine. Blade stepped outside with 5 wolves behind him. Their leather cuts caught the moonlight, each patch a warning, don't start what you can't finish. Rick Dalton stood at the gate with 2 armed men and a black SUV idling behind him. His face was red with rage. You're making a big mistake, Blade, Rick growled. Hand them over, now. Blade didn't flinch. You want those kids, you go through all of us. Rick smirked, you think I woe. The wolves stepped forward, forming a wall of muscle and tattoos. The air crackled with tension. You've abused your last child, Rick, Blade said. Those kids are safe here. Sheriff will be on site any minute. Rick barked a laugh. You think the law scares me? No, Blade replied, but we do. The gate opened not to let Rick in, but to unleash the wolves. A brief but explosive fight erupted. No guns, no cheap shots, just raw fury. Rick's men fell fast, overpowered and outnumbered. Rick himself swung wildly until Blade dropped him to his knees. Sirens wailed in the distance. When the sheriff arrived, Rick was bruised, cuffed, and furious. You'll pay for this, he spat. Blade leaned in. As long as those kids breathe, you'll never touch them again. Hours later, the siblings were placed in protective custody, safe, finally safe. The little girl hugged Blade tightly. Thank you, she whispered. Blade cleared his throat, trying to hide the emotion in his eyes. You ever need family, he said softly, you know where to find us. The wolves watched them leave, proud, exhausted, and forever changed. Because saving those kids wasn't just the right thing. It reminded them who they truly were.